with GinaGrad.
The news with GinaGrad.
Well, Fox News reports that the FBI will assist the Mexican government in its investigation into a suspected cartel massacre of 9 American women and children near the U.S. border last week. The formal invitation comes a week after the brutal massacre of 3 mothers, 6 kids in northern Mexico's Sonora state. The slaughter was carried out in broad daylight on a remote dirt road where 3 families' SUVs were just sprayed with bullets. So shortly after the attack, the Mexican,
One thing I don't say a lot of positive things about Mexico, but most countries you have to wait till it gets dark to slaughter people. You know, you wait for the street lights to come on. Right. Hey, if you're into slaughtering at noon, go ahead.
Keep it honest.
You get a lot more done during your day, like you're talking about, like your brain when you're early, and you want to go out and slaughter. And you just woke up. Yeah. Like many countries, you have to wait till it gets dark outside.
Yeah. Cover of night.
If you're in Mexico and they ask you if you want a nooner, say no.
Yeah, not a nooner.
So shortly after the attack, the Mexican government suggested it may have been a case of mistaken identity or that the family got caught in the crosshairs between 2 cartels attacking each other, but they do not think that's the case now. So this was a Mormon group involved in this incident. It's
How
a part
is it
of
mistaken identity when it's like 3 chicks and 6
and
kids.
A car full of kids.
Yeah, where was the husband?
Why would you think
the
that
Mormon.
That it? Oh, the husband.
No, that's
sorry.
fine.
Yeah,
they are a Mormon group. It's a sect they are polygamous.
Scott, you can use that.
And they moved to Mexico because, shockingly, polygamy is sort of overlooked.
Really?
In Mexico.
Oh, really?
It's not legal, but it's overlooked. They have other things to worry about.
$100 to the local municipality, and
right.
You can marry all the women you want.
So the reason, personally, I haven't been reporting on this yet is because every update was there are no updates and we don't know what happened. We're finally getting a little bit of traction. The FBI is getting involved. We know it wasn't cartel versus cartel, and that's about it at this moment.
But it was a drug cartel thinking this was somebody else,
or not. That's what they said. They thought it was mistaken identity. Now they don't. So why would they zero in on this caravan?
Seems like a couple of Suburbans with a limo tint on it, like going the wrong direction at the wrong time, and they thought these guys were rolling in on them or whatever. Also, Mexico doesn't seem like it takes much. They're like, we're judging it through our eyes.
Right.
Hey, 2 Suburbans. Could be drugs.
Or not.
Might as well open fire.
Let's open fire.
Can't take that chance.
It's getting around lunch.
Wow.
That's right.
The thing that I think is the most interesting is that they got Trump interested in sending the military there. And I'm thinking, there's probably no fight that Trump would want more than this one. You don't want to get in a fight with somebody who wants the fight. I mean, he wants the fight.
And also, you think about the logistics. Half the stuff we do is in the Middle East or Vietnam or Korea. This, we just got to get through San Diego.
Yeah,
we'll just stage in San Diego.
Weekends at home. Right.
Yeah, where's Camp Pendleton? Where is that? It's halfway there, right?
Right? Area, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could
day trip.
They won't have to refuel those tanks. They'll make it into Mexico.
We did offer, and a Mexican said, no thanks. But now they're saying, we're going to need some assistance.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever happens, what do you do with corrupt governments? What do you do with narco states? Like, how does it ever sort itself out? Where's the finish line?
My understanding is that the president of Mexico is promoting, and I'm not making this up if this is the first time you've ever heard it, I swear to God the next thing I say is true. Hugs, not bullets.
That is correct.
Oh, really?
That is in the article.
Literally and often he says that.
Hugs, not bullets.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the first time I read it, I was this is the Babylon Bee or the Youngin or something. I'm like, what? He actually said that?
Yeah, I feel like they're beyond that. Now, our Meatless Mondays, that's legit. But I don't know if we're ever going to. I don't know if you're going to pull off the hugs, not bullets thing. All right.
It's not that catchy.
No.
So former President Jimmy Carter underwent successful brain surgery and will remain in the hospital as long as advisable for observation. That's according to USA Today. Former President Jimmy Carter was taken to the hospital Monday in preparation for this operation. It's to reduce pressure on his brain. He had a little bit of bleeding from a recent fall. He is 95 years old. He is the oldest living American president.
He should enter the Democratic field.
Yeah, it's time. He was last hospitalized on October 21st after he broke his pelvis. This is his 3rd fall this year.
This is Rosalind? Is that his wife?
Oh, I don't know.
Is she still alive? No. Normally the chicks outlive the dudes.
Couldn't tell you.
Rosalind. Carter. Rosalind's his wife, I believe, yeah.
She's 92.
She's
Good for
92.
her. 92 years young.
Jesus Christ.
Clean living, man.
Those guys must have been married for like 63 years.
Damn.
I mean, or 66
Maybe
years,
more, yeah.
or 67 years.
Back in
I mean,
those
they've
days.
been married for a long time.
They've been together since 45.
Wow.
My God.
It's a long
Holy
haul,
moly.
man.
How do you do it?
Yeah. All right.
So things got a little emotional during Monday's episode of Jeopardy. Constant Dhruv Gar was stumped by the final Jeopardy question.
Contestant? Sorry, is it
What did I say?
constant?
Consonant. Contestant. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Dhruv Gar was stumped by the last question. He wrote a message to the ailing host instead. The 79-year-old got a little choked up, had to pause before going to the next answer. Alex is diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He's undergoing a second round of chemo. Yeah.
Who's had a longer run, him or Pat Sajak?
Sajak's in the hospital, too.
Yeah, Sajak's having
Yeah.
some issues.
They've both been on there. I feel like doing this gig since I was, had a roommate in
Yeah.
a futon in 1985.
right around the same
I mean,
time.
they both feel like they've been on since
Early, mid-80s?
mid-80s.
I think Alex Trebek was hosting game shows before Jeopardy.
Oh, I don't
we can
know.
look that up.
But I know Vanna's been subbing for Pat lately.
Yeah.
I tended not to watch either show because they're both very shaming to me. I have a learning disorder and a dusting of dyslexia, and so I'd find myself watching, Japanese ones where people got sludge buckets dumped
Sure.
on them and stuff, but
They're
not the
pushed
ones
out
where I
in
had
the
to
snow.
spell
Yeah.
things out
Of course.
or figure out any capitals.
So this is the clip of the emotional moment on Jeopardy.
Did you come up with the right one? No? What is we love you out? That's very kind. Thank you. Cost you $19.95. You're left with $5. Okay.
It's very nice.
Sweet.
Trebek started Jeopardy in 84. Sajak, 81. I was in high school. When he went. High school.
No kidding.
And neither of them have aged, but for opposite reasons. Like Trebek's always had that sort of distinguished look, and Pat Sajak has that boyish face.
Yeah.
And I think I've told you this before, but I met Alex Trebek once, and I was so excited to meet him, and I kind of lost all control of my faculties, and I curtsied to him. And it was humiliating after I was told that I had done that, but I was so excited to meet the Alex Trebek that I think I curtsied.
A game show host is one of those things where it has a weird trajectory. It's not like being a rodeo clown. It's like it starts off kind of bad. The guy's a game show host. Guy talks. The guy's got as much talent as a game show. He's a teleprompter jockey or whatever. It's like a nothing thing. And at a certain point, we have great reverence.
That's right. They're iconic.
I don't know why. Why does it get from sort of loser Hollywood job, like, oh, he's doing that because he can't act and he can't host a late night show and he can't do stand up, like a whole bunch of stuff you can't do. So you just stand there and read the cards or read the prompter, and then at some point you become a national treasure.
But if you make it to 40 years hosting that show,
right,
that's something.
I respect anybody who can do that little work for that much money.
For that long a time.
I mean, there are only people like radio people and cartoonists and game show hosts. We pretty much just go until we dissolve.
Yeah,
I could be dead for a year before anybody'd say, "Hey, Dilbert's not looking as sharp as us."
Well, we did get a little hint of this back when Ms. Cheryl Hines was on, but Curb Your Enthusiasm is apparently returning to HBO in January. The news comes from Curb star Jeff Garlin, who made the announcement on an Instagram post. HBO has not confirmed this, though. After a 5-year hiatus, Curb Your Enthusiasm returned in October 2017 with its 9th season. Production on the season 10 began a year later in October 2018, and it was revealed a short time later that Wilco frontman Jeff Tweedy would have a role in the forthcoming 10th season.
Well, we talked to Larry David. I talked to him a month ago and said it was coming out at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. And he said he'd come in here, so hopefully we can get him in here.
Jeff Garland's coming in next week, too.
Jeff Garland's coming,
perfect.
so we'll talk to him about that, too.
Well, speaking of people, maybe we can drag in here and give us some gossip. Paul Thomas Anderson is returning to his San Fernando Valley roots to make a new film set in the 1970s,
What a
according to the
shock.
Hollywood Reporter.
Wow, I didn't see
He's
that
had a
coming.
few. The untitled film will be centered on a high school student who's also a successful child actor. Anderson will write, direct, and produce the project. Sources say casting is underway to find the lead, and apparently multitudes of roles are available. Could be an ensemble, could have intersecting storylines.
It's Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
Brian?
Pretty sure we'll have an ensemble
Sources
cast.
say Anderson's project is planning to go into production in February of next year. And, he, as Brian alluded to, between Boogie Nights and Magnolia and Punch Drunk Love, he does like to set movies in the San Fernando Valley. Sherman Oaks, Encino, Tarzana. That's where he grew up, and that's where a lot of the movies are based.
You can watch episodes of T.J. Hooker and get the same effect, by the way, because they just filmed them all just around here, and I grew up just around here, so it's always seen them. They used to not outsource this stuff. Like, now everyone goes to Atlanta or goes to Toronto or something, but they used to just film here because that's where everyone was. I had a funny story I haven't told in a million years, but I don't know, Scott, I figure he'll speak to you. The show Emergency was on when I was a kid, and there were a couple of paramedic firemen who drove sort of the paramedic truck. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like an ambulance. It wasn't really a fire truck. It just had equipment on it, and they were always yelling stat and having to airlift people out of places and stuff. And Gage and DeSoto were their names. And Randolph Mantooth was one of the guys.
That's a solid
Who else could it be?
And one of the other guys. Anyway, there was a market on Riverside and Colfax, and it was called Toppers. It was back when they have these little independent, remember medium-sized markets? Now they're all really big, or they're liquor stores, but these were kind of medium-sized market. It was called Toppers, and I used to walk down Colfax to go to Walter Reed Elementary every day. And one day I was walking down Colfax, and I saw the fire rig parked on Colfax a couple blocks away from that intersection, and it was parked in front of like a neighbor's house. And I remember thinking, oh, is there some problem or a fire? Or did somebody have an accident? And so as I was walking past the rig, I stopped and poked my head into the passenger window, and I was like, whoa, it's Gage and DeSoto. And I was like, you guys are for real. And then he goes, get away from the truck. And I'm like, what? And then he took off, and as he took off, he drove into a bunch of cameras and lights, in the parking lot of Toppers. They needed them pulling in and jumping out of the car, and what happened, and this woman had a heart attack or whatever. But for a split second, I was just old. I was 12 and a half or 13 or something, and I thought, oh, that's what they did. They were on their appointed rounds.
Yeah, they just happened to be being filmed.
But then I also thought that guy's a douche because I just thought something was going on inside this house, and then it turns out they were just pulling into the scene.
That's way better than my story of seeing the Google Map car come around.
Did you make a face, Moonham?
And laying on my front lawn.
Yes.
With a chalk outline.
Those are the best.
Randolph Mantooth.
No.
Yes? Yes. That was one of the Gage or the DeSotos.
So
White
I'm
guy?
assuming, or real name Ernie Feldstein or what?
I don't know. Randolph?
He was born Randy DeRoy Mantooth.
Oh my God.
DeRoy.
Yeah.
Wow. It got whiter.
That's amazing.
Randolph Mantooth. And what was the other guy's name? Probably another good beginning. Back then.
Kevin Ty.
Was that him? That was that. So, as best I could tell with all these shows I used to watch, all these PI shows and cop shows and emergency shows and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, as best I could tell, it was all based around having a real kick-ass opening song. And they must have just went in and just pitched, like, what do you got? What's this about? And the guy just pushed play on the record. And they were like, well, what's it about? You guys are running.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Come on
Cars
now.
are driving fast.
The point is this is the opening.
Will there be chase scenes? Will there be chase scenes?
Yes,
Will there be chase
fucking
scenes?
will be, and this will be playing.
There won't be anything but.
Will somebody be tied to a chair and interrogated
This
at some
will
point?
be a clock ticking and a time bomb timing, and this will be playing. Play the music. It's going to kick in.
151, this is Rampart. Can you send me some EKG? 10-4, transmitting EKG. We're sending you a strip. Vitals to follow. Pulse is 160. The victim is in extreme pain, Rampart.
Where's the music?
The patient is in deep fib. Rampart, we have lost the victim's pulse. Beginning CPR. We're defibrillating victim, Rampart.
No, I need the music, Mac Zapata.
I'll find different ones.
This ain't it. Randolph Mantooth.
John Gage.
All right, I'll find the one that has the.
You know why
the
Mantooth
music.
sounded familiar? Wes
Wes
Mantooth. Vince Vaughn and
Right.
Anchorman.
Wes Mantooth.
So great.
Yeah, maybe he pulled it off of that. I don't know. It's a crazy name. All right, find me the emergency opening theme song, Max Zapata.
It's very important.
Very important and timely.
If you're inviting over the Mantooth family, do you refer to them as the Manteeth?
Menteeth.
Menteeth.
Now more than ever. And the fact that guy didn't get an endorsement deal with Crest, his agent
crime.
left so much money on the goddamn table. All right, Max Pan, I'm looking at you. You ready? Here we go. I just played this at the pitch session. I go. Ambulances, hot chicks, cars,
Bones,
explosions. A kid fell in the LA River. Now, Corvette sideways around a corner. Shots fired. Lactate ringers, D5W stat. We end big.
Yeah.
A lot of horns.
Flourish.
I love that their best technology was something like a fax machine,
Right.
Yeah.
for
A
medical
can.
purposes.
Yeah.
You know, something like a third of all the plots that they used to write about, you can't do because of cell phones.
That's Seinfeld.
Have you noticed that more and more movies are set like in the 80s, early 90s, you know, like the recent past, because so many plots would fall apart with a cell phone?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I don't remember whose Twitter handle it was way back when, or whatever, a couple of years ago. But they had modern Seinfeld and how all the plots would be different because there was no type of telecommunication.
Right.
It was all answering
Interesting.
machines. It was all faxes. So San Diego State University has suspended all of its frats after the death of a freshman student.
Use it
at
for
the
staging, man. We'll stage the military there.
Oh, there it is.
The empty frat
Okay.
houses.
Temporary barracks.
That's right.
For the
Okay.
invasion.
Okay. University police are investigating why 18-year-old Dylan Hernandez required medical attention after allegedly attending a frat party Wednesday night. Police involvement began after a 911 call for help was in the residence hall at the time. I did hear on the radio he may have, you know, he just binge drinking, then might have fallen out of his bed or fallen out of a top bunk. He was taken to the hospital last Thursday morning. In the wake of his death, the university has suspended 14 fraternities indefinitely. 6 had already been suspended. 4 others were under investigation for violations. The university president says, quote, "Each of us, including our students, must uphold the highest standards that do not put health and safety of anyone at risk."
You can't punish all the frats for one lightweight
Yep.
fraternity. You know?
Guy just can't handle his beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alpha Tau puss.
That's right. By the way, my movie Shelby American will be out November 19th on DVD and Blu-ray and digital, and you can pre-order it now at Chassis, CHASSY.com, and get that real story on Shelby, which you'll see coming up now this Friday.
Wow.
I checked Rotten Tomatoes on Ford v Ferrari. It was 92%, and I thought, It's an all-white, all-straight cast burning fossil fuels. I said, you don't get any higher in 92 in today's era with that cast doing what... There's zero diversity because there just wasn't a member of the Shelby build team that was African-American, or it's not like the lady, Rosie the Riveter got involved. Nobody was gay, or if they did, they kept it pretty close to the vest back then. And it's literally an all-white cast. Just burning fossil fuels and
be good.
Kicking European ass. Wow. And it's at 92, and I thought that's about as high as it gets. But if you want to see the story on the real Carroll Shelby, you can see ours out the 19th. So that'll be like Tuesday after the movie comes out.
That's right. Well, speaking of movies, if you were looking forward to binge watching those Disney movies, you're going to want to give it a while. Tuesday's launch of the Disney Plus streaming service has been marred by technical glitches.
We signed up.
We did too. Thousands of users have not been able to download the app. Disney says it's due to overwhelming demand. It's promised they'll get it fixed as quick as possible. According to the website, this is Marvel, this is Pixar, this is Simpsons, this is Disney Classics, this is Nat Geo, so people are clamoring for it.
I have a thought. I have a controversial stance. Look, it doesn't win me any popularity contests amongst my friends, but I go, we got enough porn. I don't think we need to make any more porn. There's enough. You couldn't watch all the porn that's out
if
there.
If you started today and never stopped.
Yeah, we'll get young girls to do other things they'll regret later, but we don't need them to do porn anymore. And they go, bite your tongue.
Bite her
tongue.
And
I go, just talk about Shav. And I mean it, though. There's more porn than I can ever sift through on the internet or that my 13-year-old son could ever look forward to devouring. I'm getting there with kids' stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't watch the kids' stuff anymore because my kids are older, and now we're going to go see Ford v. Ferrari, but we're not going to see the little princess, whatever. There's now a library of good stuff.
Yep.
I mean, there's 4 Toy Stories probably.
Yeah, there is.
You
couldn't make this argument 12 years ago, or whatever it was.
But we've done another Wreck-It Ralph. We've done another everything. It's all 90% or more on Rotten Tomatoes. We're done. You got to cover. You got to cover about age 3 to age 9.5 or 10, and then we're kind of done, and we're good.
They only need one movie at that age. Because they'll just watch that movie over again.
My daughter's 3, and she's worn out Beauty and the Beast.
Scott, you're talking about porn? I'm misunderstanding.
This is not
appropriate.
This is for the toddlers. For the toddlers, yes.
Okay.
Where you go wrong is you tell them there are other movies, and then they're going to get greedy. Like, maybe I should see another movie. Yeah. No, there's just one. There's just that one.
Just Minions.
So now there's enough. We don't need any more.
And to your point, and I'm going to get way more hell than you did, you know what we're really done with? Star Wars. We don't need any more Star Wars. We didn't need... Chris, don't look at me like that.
The new one that's coming out, I can't tell if it's an old one or a new one, or it's... I don't even know what commercial I'm looking at anymore. I feel like I've seen a composite of so many... Star Wars movies, I don't know what's going on anymore.
I'm going to take a guess. There will be a young woman who weighs 100 pounds who can beat up anybody in the universe.
Yeah.
And
she has the Force.
And there'll be a number of males in it who are cowardly and stupid.
Yes.
All right, that's the prediction.
How it works. When is this one coming out?
Next month. I believe it's December. It's before the end of the year. It's this year.
Is it the 7th one?
It's number 9 in the series. It's the last one. There'll be many more.
Yeah, like a Kiss Tour. It's the last
there'll
one.
Be many more, but this is the 3rd of this set and the last of the Skywalker.
December
stories.
19th.
There you go.
And yet only one emergency. 3 lousy seasons.
Life isn't fair.
That's all we got to get by on. All right, Gina, what else?
Well, Anna Faris has confirmed the rumors that she is engaged. Earlier this month, the actress was seen with a large diamond ring on her left hand, causing speculation that she's marrying cinematographer Michael Barrett. Over the weekend, the couple was congratulated by paparazzi, and Anna thanked them and said, "We're not ready for the big day yet." Anna and Michael worked on the movie Overboard together. They started dating in 2017.
Well, something good came out of that movie.
2 months after she announced her separation from husband Chris Pratt. And as you know, Chris married Katherine Schwarzenegger, and this will be Anna's 3rd marriage.
This is why you should never feel bad for good-looking people.
No, there was another feat.
When you're a loser and you're unattractive and somebody dumps you, it's a downward spiral, and that can last for years, sometimes decades. The good-looking people just move on to the next good-looking person.
Right.
They never really have a ton of downtime. They feel bad initially, like us, but it wears off quickly.
Yeah. Explain Pete Davidson.
Oh, Pete.
Once you get into that flow, man.
I listen. I have said women are much easier to manipulate than men. If Rosie O'Donnell was banging George Clooney and then they broke up, I wouldn't be like, I got to eat some Rosie O'Donnell pussy now. I'd be like, that guy's an idiot. I'm not going anywhere near that snatch. That's how guys work. Chicks are like, good enough for George Clooney, good enough for me. That's how they work.
Good enough for Ariana Grande.
When Pete Davidson was banging Ariana Grande, I said, oh, now the dominoes are just going to fall. This super lanky, skinny guy who's all teeth and tattoos is going to mow right through all the tens. They're going to mow down all the tens because that's how chicks work.
You know who he's been seen with lately?
No, I'm going to get angry.
You're going to light yourself on fire.
Glenn Close.
Kaya Gerber, Cindy Crawford's daughter.
See,
that pig.
I announced this. Everyone's like, oh, everyone feels so bad for Pete because he got broken up. Yeah. All he's going to do is bang his way all the way through Hollywood with this. This is, of course, he's with a 19-year-old version of Cindy Crawford. Of course.
My gosh, she weighs 80 pounds.
Yeah, if that.
That's how it works.
I couldn't get past Anna Faris marrying a cinematographer, and I'm thinking, I feel sorry for the wedding photographer.
Yeah,
he's
a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah,
a lot
of requests.
Pressure.
A lot of instruction.
Yeah.
You know what? Just let me do it. I'll do it.
Freaks out on him because the boom mic's in the shot. Now see, what happens with women is eventually they go civilian industry, or they go
that's right.
or they go chef.
Yeah,
they start
right.
off with the leading man and the action stars and stuff like that. Then they get a little longer in the tooth, and also they're tired of the ride, you know. But they're not going to go to school bus driver, postal sorter, or something like that. So they go cinematographer,
Randy
where they're
Gerber,
still kind of in the business.
Julia Roberts did the same thing,
right?
Yeah.
They eventually go to a behind the camera professional in the business.
Yeah.
That's after getting through all the young bucks. That's how it works.
That's right. So making friends is hard, and many say it only gets harder as you get older. And that's why dating apps and services are now turning into friendship apps and services. That's to help lonely adults find new friends. So dating apps like Bumble and The League have introduced friend-finding modes in recent years, while other apps were designed specifically to pair friends with each other. Often these platonic
apps... How does that
apps
work with the friend sites? Like, what's your favorite team? What's your favorite ice cream? What's your cup size?
I don't know why you care, Cheryl.
I just want to know what the cup size is.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Is it Cheryl?
I like making macrame owls.
Me too.
And wonder if you wear regular panties or a thong back.
Just get to know you
might not work.
Get to know you type stuff.
Yeah, there's one called the Peanut app that connects moms. There's Tourlina that connects travelers in other countries. There's also full-on matchmaking services like BFF Matchmaking. They offer packages that start at $900. They go up to $2,100 VIP.
But what happens, like in those rom-com movies, like when we find out that the BFF app person is a hired gun?
Oh.
Like this person who was supposed to be your best friend and confidant turns out just to be on the shill, like it's getting paid by the app service to be best friends.
It happens on dating apps, with the
it's that thing where you're going to meet them at the club, and now they're there with their other best friend who they pretending to be best friends, but they do become best friends. But once they find out, they never forgive them. It's like if only someone had a cell phone, we could clear this up.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one who sees a new app and thinks, how can somebody kill with this? How can I make this lethal? I'm wondering, does the app allow a guy to find a woman as a best friend that he can start in the friend zone and then try to get the promotion?
That's good. Any guy who's ever been in the friend zone, no, he's not getting out of there.
Never?
No,
you think in the history of humanity, nobody's ever got out of the friend zone?
There was articles, and people have talked about this before, but how Hollywood glamorizes, like, if some guy that a girl just isn't interested in just grinds her down and wears her down, she finally becomes so exhausted, and she'll make you her partner. And that's such an insane premise for every rom-com, which is partly why I hate rom-coms. It's not. It's like, why do you put that in young men's heads that all you have to do is start stalking them, and then she either gives up because she's scared or tired?
You can get from a friend zone to a blowjob, but never the end zone, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, you might be right about that.
That's a bridge way too far. Handy, maybe, not the end
dirty
zone.
bridge.
Not from the friend zone. Oh, Lord knows.
Yeah, you're right.
Gotta try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably an early ask. Probably too early to asking. Wait for the entree before you try to get from the friend zone to the end zone. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yes.
Gotta put that on a quilt.
Got to be handy somewhere in there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the end zone, when discussing allergies and sex, the conversation is usually focused on latex allergies, things like that, with condoms. But for one Maryland woman, it was her penicillin allergy that came into play while she was having sex. So, according to a case report published in the American Journal of Medicine, a woman had an anaphylactic reaction to her husband's semen when he was on antibiotics, he was on penicillin, and she was allergic to it. So 1 to 2 hours after the 46-year-old had sex with her husband, she started feeling dizzy and sweating was itchy and everything was off and she had diarrhea and it was horrible. This led to a trip to the hospital where blood pressure was low. They thought she had sepsis. Doctors were finally able to piece together what happened.
You got to let her die at that point.
Oh, is that the
don't
DNR?
Get her, yeah, because no one needs to know how. I just killed her with my cock. You know? They go, what?
Well,
I don't mean you need all the nuts and bolts
you don't
and
need the details.
reactions and whatnot.
If the app doesn't get her,
right?
You got to go full cock.
It's one of those things you got to like tell your gossipy friend, like just that right friend.
Don't tell, no matter what.
Well, just please don't tell. It's too personal. But you're the only one who knows.
I fucked her to death. She was here.
Yeah.
Now she's gone.
Yeah.
Blame my dick. That's how it works.
It sounds like a good way to get out of sex.
That's true.
It's like, well, I'm allergic to something you're doing.
And like you said, how do we make this lethal? We just found a way.
Good.
So basically, she was allergic to the high levels of penicillin he was taking and he had released when he ejaculated, and it almost killed her. So the doctors then discharged her with an EpiPen and instructions to hold off on sex until a week after he completes his treatment.
You know, I find that sex that doesn't involve an EpiPen is just not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You don't believe in yourself.
That's like a low achiever kind of a thing.
Right.
It's like nobody has to be resuscitated after this. I'm out.
You can do it, but why?
Yeah, that's the point.
Somebody doesn't yell clear. You're not doing it right.
Or stat.
Or stat.
That's right.
And all right, Gina, let's do one more.
All right.
1.5 more.
You got it. Well, 2 men were arrested in connection with a California cheese theft ring. And you think, how much could that be worth? It was worth $50,000 in cheese. Roderick Ransom was arrested and booked on charges of grand theft and embezzlement. Jairo Alvarez was arrested and booked on charges of possession of stolen property. Investigators said more arrests are possible in the future. Police said the suspects had been...
The first guy looks like he's getting high on his own supply. Hey, buddy, we stole that to sell, not to make nachos. You use the craft for that shit. This is high.
We stole 200 pounds of cheese, and that looks more.
It's about 100, about 80 pounds.
I remember specifically it was marked, labeled cheese, 200 pounds.
I want to see when they divide up the cheese evenly. It's like,
That's right.
This could come to fisticuffs.
Yep. So they had been stealing from Leprino Foods since 2017. The stolen cheese was then sold online, door to door, and at flea markets across the state. Police identified other people involved in the sale of the cheese. They're in California. They're up north.
I tell you there's something going on with California where there's a lot of food being sold on the streets, and I think people's tolerance and or barrier to entry is going lower and lower and lower. Like, I'm seeing guys with, papayas and pineapples and machetes, and they're just hacking it up and serving it out.
Yep.
And I think they're smart. Let me tell you why the Mexicans are smart. They caught us. First thing they do, they realize at noon on a Tuesday, Whitey's not buying a ghetto dog. That's a dog of unknown origin wrapped in something that seems like bacon, and that's not lunch break shit.
That's not daylight
when we're
food.
at work.
No.
That's drunken, stumble out of the Staples Center, had 11 beers.
Yeah.
That is tailgate. This is drunken, honky food. So what you do is you indoctrinate us by putting it outside the club or the vent or the whatever. Then we come staggering out buzzed, and it's 1:15, and we smell
Smells
the
like bacon and onions.
Smell the
God.
onions and the bacons, and they know the decision making is poor
It's impaired.
at that time of night.
At best.
And we're buzzed, and we're going to buy that ghetto dog. And once they hook us up, like like the florist
in the town.
Good and proper.
P. Postlethwaite.
They get us hooked up. Now we're sort of used to making the pilgrimage over to the shopping cart with the propane tank on it. We go, then eventually the shit starts coming out on Saturdays when the sun's out. You know, we're like, well, nothing wrong with another ghetto dog. I had one the last weekend at night. You know, now it's just on.
Yeah,
it's part of your diet.
You drive. I was driving to the Melrose Improv a couple weeks ago. They have generators set up on the sidewalk, lights, kiosk. You know, the whole. It's a whole operation. Just. Right down Melrose.
Well, you got to refrigerate the cheese.
Yeah.
If you're going to eat sidewalk cheese, you want to know that there's a little bit of,
cooling.
I wouldn't think there'd be a big market for like door-to-door blocks of cheese, back in the day. But I feel like all the food side eating, the curbside food and the sidewalk food kind of lowered our guard a little.
I think it might be a little racist, too. I learned this once from a black woman, a friend of mine, who she was kidding, and she was saying, there's some things about white people that are common to white people. I was like, well, like what? Give me an example. And she said, you like cheese.
Oh,
I thought, well, that's true.
We do love cheese.
We love our cheese.
Doesn't everybody love cheese?
It seemed like such a stereotype.
You're out of the club.
It was true.
I told the woman when I was doing a book tour, I've never seen an Asian woman eat cheese. Have you? Close your eyes. Picture in your mind's eye.
Think about it.
Either one of
Think about it.
Pink lady eating cheese. Like I never heard a Japanese woman go, I got a hankering for some Gouda. Have you?
No, never.
Well, never.
I don't think it sparks joy. Marie Kondo would say.
Is there an enzyme going on? Is there a lactate something?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, Chris, Google me right on this.
What Japanese stuff, like Mexicans cover everything with cheese.
Yeah, it's not part of the Japanese culture.
If you took a Mexican and you melted cheese on his own foot, he would eat it.
Oh my God.
No, this is scientific.
He's compelled to.
He would get halfway through his foot before he realized. And this is true.
That.
No, look it up. No, Google it.
You'd think with the first bite.
Hand to God.
No,
no.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
I can't cast the first stone because I'd be up to the ankle before I even caught on.
But that'd be on the Mexican or on yourself?
Either one.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying.
You said it had cheese.
But
that was the end of my thinking.
Are there any Asian... Like, you go to a Mexican restaurant, cheese is on. I get the enchiladas. They put the cheese on the beans. It's everywhere.
It's almost like the different cultures.
Where in Japan? Where's the cheese? Well, Europe has a lot of... Europe will do the cheese.
Okay, so let me tell you something. There used to be, and I don't know if they're saying it anymore, but I did hear this from a Japanese friend a few years ago. There used to be a phrase, and I don't know how you say it in Japanese, but it translated when you're talking about Americans, they're called butter stinkers. Because we would, take in dairy and there you don't, and apparently makes us smell weird. Oh. And we didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So to your point.
That would explain my butterface.
They call us butter stinkers. We call them Japs. It's short for Japanese. That's not even offensive.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing like Asian cultures did not historically raise cattle.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Where the Kobe and the Wagyu come from.
Cattle, nothing to milk.
All right. One more.
All right. Well, speaking of food, when one couple couldn't decide what to serve at their wedding, they came up with a winning solution. They ordered Domino's. Victoria and Tom Brown from the UK ordered $450 worth of Domino's pizza for their wedding.
Definitely not a Jew.
Exactly. And instead of having a traditional sit-down meal, apparently everybody loved it. It was just a joke, she said. It was a joke idea at first. We sorted everything out but the food. Victoria told the pizza chain their budget, and they sent as much as they possibly could. Do you want to know what $450 will buy you at Domino's?
Yeah.
$5 medium pizzas.
30 large pizza boxes, 20 garlic breads, 20 boxes of chicken strips, and 20 boxes of potato wedges. The bride and groom said they couldn't have hoped for a better wedding meal.
No, but they could.
I think they could have.
Carby.
I was hoping at that point.
Somebody, I don't know if it's Little Caesars or Pizza Hut or something. Someone's coming out with a super thin crust, which I abide by.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Again, that's... You eliminate the crust. You eliminate one more thing to screw up in bad pizza. It's not all doughy.
Domino's has that thin crust. I don't know who else is doing it.
It's perfectly passable. If
More profit for you, less dough.
If you ever get in a pinch where nothing's open or you're somewhere and you just got to go Domino's or just go thin crust, you'll make it.
Yeah. What's the big square, the Sicilian square? Don't do that.
No, that's tough.
That'll get you.
Scott,
right.
Too many variables there. Yeah, you're right. Once you have to cook it just the right amount because you don't know what's happening in the middle,
yeah.
well, your whole
over.
pizza theorem is out.
That's right.
All right, do we bring it home?
We'll do it right now. I'm GinaGrad, and that's the news. Oh, really, bitch? I'm a misogynist.
GinaGrad.
That was the news with GinaGrad.